see what this is all about. Let's see what this is all about. What do you say? Saludos, Thurston Howell. Thurston Howell. Saludos, Papa. Good to see you here in the show, Papa. Yes, sir. We're going to do something for you guys because we have a lot of people out there that are questioning me who is Venezuela, what's Venezuela about. People, I'll talk in a few minutes. I'll talk in a few minutes. This is wrong. Okie dokie. Let me get this thing together. Mm-hmm. 30 West. Saludo, 30 West. Mike, welcome to the show. Let me see. Happy New Year to you, my brother. Happy New Year, Peter. Pete? I think it's Pete. Pete Watch Collector. Saludos, Pete. Okay, so we have that there. All right, we got that there. So, let me get you guys going. Let me see. Can you guys hear me out there? If you don't mind. Saludos, Doc Mecca, Florida. Saludos. Let me see. A ver si me escuchan esta gente. Si no me escuchan, estamos jodidos. Vamos a ver. Okay. Super. Yes, sir. Great. Great to hear that. Okay. Let me see. That goes in through. That goes in. Super. We're good to go. Sí, Kino, ya estamos bien ya. Dame una botellita de agua. All right. So everybody's here. Okay. Everybody's here. We got 8 people. That's more than enough in this channel. Oof. 8 people. That's legendary. Oh, we got 7 now. That's good. Good. Even better. The one that left was embarrassed. Loud and clear. Super. Great. Let me just get something here for a second, you know? Let me get something. Ok, vamos para adelante. Vamos para adelante con eso. Okay, let's go. Let's do this already. Okay, I look good there. I look good. I look good. I look good. Okay, so here we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back once again to the greatest watch market update show. As you know, we are a public service, and I mean the first public service watch announcement channel. You know, what we try to bring you is only the truth and nothing but the truth. We try to bring you things that can help you out, you know, understand what's happening around the world, locally, you know, all that good stuff, you know. We try to help you out with all that good stuff. So remember that the only thing that we try to ask from you guys, you know, because it's basically the only thing we can ask you is for a thumbs up. You know, we're not even going to ask you to subscribe to the channel. We don't. To us, a subscription doesn't mean nothing no more. But because you guys don't even get the notification and all that good stuff. But don't forget to please give us a thumbs up. It doesn't hurt too much. Just go like that, boom, you push the button, and you gave us a little, little hope of them opening the door on us. All right, guys? So please don't forget that. Don't forget also that we also have a watch group. Is on Bookface. It's on Bookface. It's under my name, Juan Felipe Nieves. Go to About, and you'll find their Opus and Time watches. And maybe Sweet Kikino, Samantha's not here. Maybe they'll let you in, okay? Saludos, Mr. Wicked. Welcome to the show, Wicked. Happy to have you here. All right, so don't forget about that. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk a little bit about precious metal materials. And ladies and gentlemen, again, it's going all the way up to the moon again, all the way up to the moon. And I'm going to talk to you about a few things here. Platinum, I'm going to talk to you about platinum. The price of platinum is $2,258.80 a troy ounce. Ladies and gentlemen, palladium. Palladium is at $1,746 a troy ounce. Gold, pure gold. Gold is going all the way to Mars, all the way to Mars. No matter what they keep on telling you every day that it's going to go down to 2,000, this, that, these flim-flammers out there. But then they realize that it's not. They start saying that it's going to go down to 8,000. You know what I'm talking about. You know all these characters. I'm telling you right now, gold at this moment is at $4,008 a troy ounce. $4,008 a troy ounce. And ladies and gentlemen, the sleeper, the white stuff, the sleeper, the white stuff, the white stuff is at $76 a troy ounce, okay? A troy ounce. That's right. You need to stack up on that if you want to. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just telling you, listen, silver is going all the way to Mars, not to the moon, to Mars, because what's happening in the world is upside down, ladies and gentlemen. Just to let you know what's going on. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know this, that the secondary gray watch market is dead, ladies and gentlemen. No matter, it's dead. Intensive care, dead, okay? Just to let you know, ladies and gentlemen, I want all of you to know, ladies and gentlemen, watches are an emotional investment, an emotional investment, not a financial investment, okay? Stop picking on your nose and remember what I'm telling you. Watches are an emotional investment, not a financial investment. The watch market is dead. Just to let you know what's going on, okay? Just to let you know, we have an unbelievable watch market update set up by no other than Sweet Kikino. He's here today. He's had a tough holiday, drinking too much moonshine and, smashing, tú entiendes? You know what's going on. All the way to the moon, all the way. Silver is going all the way to the moon, ladies and gentlemen. I want to ask all of you a question. All of you. I'm gonna ask you guys a few questions. You 16 organic watch channel recovering tomato cans are gonna have the honor of me asking you a couple of questions. The first question I'm gonna ask you, does anybody out there knows who is Celia Flores? Celia Flores, Celia Flores. Does anybody know who is Celia Flores? Saludos, Christopher. Happy New Year to you as well. Happy New Year. Nobody knows who Celia Flores is. Don't Google it because it's not going to be good for you. Don't Google it. Does anybody know? Okay. All right. Celia Flores. Does anybody know who is Griselda Blanco? You know Griselda Blanco? You know who Griselda Blanco is? Griselda Blanco, Does anybody know who Griselda Blanco is? Okay. Let's get into this because I see you guys are slow polling here, and I don't want you guys to go Googling and finding out, You know, it could be that too. It could be that. You're absolutely right. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna tell you something. You know about Celia. Yes, Celia Flores. Celia Flores. For you guys that don't know who this lady is, years ago she was a secretary, a confidant, many years ago of the president of Venezuela. His name is Hugo Chavez. He passed away. This is who Celia Flores is, ladies and gentlemen. You know, and this is what I compare. I compare because people are asking me, what's the story with Venezuela? You know, there's a lot of people out there that believe that people being Latin, you know, if you're Cuban, Puerto Rican, Panamanian, you know what I'm trying to say? Dominican, you know, Honduras, all these different countries, that you are Mexican. You know, you're Mexican. You know, esa la mentalidad, the mentally of the people that live in the United States of America. They don't know how to, you know, understand that, you know, Puerto Rico is Puerto Rico, Cuba is Cuba, Panama is Panama, Santo Domingo is Santo Domingo, you know, Nicaragua is Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and all that good stuff. But all the American people believe that, you know, everybody is Mexican, you know, everybody's Mexican. And I just want to just let you guys know that that's not true. You know, that is not true. You know, I'm sure that many of you know that already, but I got to tell you, you know, you see that all the same. There it is. It's all the same. You know, they think it's all the same, you know, but that's fine. You know, they think that and that's fine. So anyway, you know, I spoke to you at the beginning about Griselda Blanco. Griselda Blanco was a ruthless lady that she would cut off your testicles and put them in your mouth. You know, you understand me? That's who she was. So we're gonna be talking about Celia Flores. Celia Flores was a big confidant of Hugo Chavez, you know, el difunto, the president that passed away, you know. He passed away, and this lady was a confidant, a secretary of Hugo Chavez. And this lady would, you know, give, you know, she would give in the ear parrot, you know. He would give the parrot to Hugo Chavez when he was already in his deathbed. And she would tell Mr. Chavez that the person that he should leave, you know, in power after he leaves this world is the gentleman Nicolás Maduro, you know, Nicolás Maduro. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this lady, Celia Flores, is Nicolás Maduro's wife. You know, understand this? You following me? If you guys don't follow me and you feel kind of dizzy, you can all kiss, you can all go. I'm trying to explain to those people that believe that everybody that's Latin is from Mexico, which is not true. So, you know, she talked to Hugo Chavez, you know, gave him a lot of parrot, you know, in his ear, a lot of parrot, you know, and telling him every day that the person that he should leave in power when he goes to, you know, over there, up there, you know, if they take him up there, is her husband, Nicolás Maduro. This lady is much older. This lady is much older than Nicolás Maduro. You know what I'm trying to say, Alex. I'm trying to give them knowledge. You don't teach these people because nobody's, you know, the only thing they're doing to you people is dumbing down on you. I'm not going to dumb down on you guys, you know. I'm going to give it to you the way it is, you know. So this lady's older than Nicolás Maduro. Nicolás Maduro is like 63 years old, you know. So you understand. But ladies and gentlemen, this lady was already married many years ago. She was already married. And after that marriage, she had 3 boys. 3 boys. Listen and learn. 3 boys. She had 3 boys, which today those are 3 men. And those 3 men are involved in narcotráfico. You know what narcotraffic is? Narcotráfico, la marimba, el yeyo, you know? Chichi, give me the yeyo, you know, Chichi, you know? This is that lady I just finished telling you, Celia Flores, you know? The wife of Nicolás Maduro. You follow me? And she has those 3 boys, and those 3 boys were pimps in the cocaine business, you know? all over the place and all that, right? You're hearing all this stuff. You're hearing it. This is all for free, ladies and gentlemen. All for free. All for free, you know? And like I said, she was a confidant of Chavez, and this is how this gentleman got the power. You know, he's been there in office for 13 years. If you don't know that, he's been in office for 13 years, you know? Nicolás Maduro and his wife. And ladies and gentlemen, that wife that he has, Celia Flores, you can compare her to Griselda Blanco. Griselda Blanco was a Colombian narcotraficante también from Colombia. You know, these people, they all know each other. You know, they all know each other and they hang out and, you know, y todos están traqueteando. El traqueteo, moviendo joyello por todos lados. Ladrillo, you know, bricks, you know, all that stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, this lady that is married, which is so called the first lady of, you know, of the president, you know, the first lady of the president of Venezuela, ladies and gentlemen, she was a bad lady. She was the one that was in charge of getting payments, you know, the payments of toda la manteca, you know, la manteca, yello, all that. She was in charge. And listen to this, ladies and gentlemen, this Celia Flores. And when you didn't pay, you know what she would do to you? You know what she would do to you? She would murder you. She would kill you. She will cut off your testicles and put them in your mouth. You know? This is who this lady is. This is who these two people were. You know? Maduro, Nicolás Maduros, and Celia Flores. Those kids were big time. Those kids are running all over the place. Let me tell you, the corruption that was in Venezuela is unreal. I'm going to tell you things quickly so you understand. At this moment, there's still United States DEAs that are running around away. You know, they're running because they were involved. They were also involved with Maduro and Celia. You know, they were involved, you know, and they're running to the hills trying to get cover. But, you know, it's going to be a long time before they're able to control that whole country, because that whole country is, you know, is upside down. But I am telling you, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know this lady, Celia Flores, had more balls than Nicolás Maduro. You understand me? The lady had more balls. And the reason that I'm talking about Celia Flores is because many people have asked me, why did they arrest? I understand they arrested Nicolás Maduro, the president of Venezuela, which is a corrupted, you know, politician, and he's into moving stacks and stacks and stacks of, you know, that white stuff, you know, not the silver white stuff, the white stuff that's killing, you know, 300,000 people a year. You know, you don't know about that kind of stuff because I make it cute for you guys. I make it cute. Kiro, no te metas. Esto no para ti, papi. Esto para grande, papi. No te metas en esto, que esto para grande. No, no me hagas así con la mano. No me hagas así, que yo le estoy hablando la verdad. Celia Flores es una gonorrea. ¿Tú entiendes? Eso es lo que hay. There you go. See, Alex is asking me, Alex's wife was asking him, why did they arrest her? Well, they arrested her because she's a narcotraficante. That's why. That's why they arrested her. Let's go, mommy. Come on, let's go. You know, enough of the killing field. She was killing people left and right. You didn't pay her son? Mátelo. Go get him and kill him, you know? Hang him by the testicles. Finish them off. You know what I'm trying to tell you, ladies and gentlemen. This is too much knowledge for you people. This is too much knowledge for you people. That's what happens. That's why you continue skip hopping around through life like bunny rabbits, asking yourself, you know, all the Latin people are from Mexico. They're not, papi. They're not. You know, I'm just telling you, they're not, ladies and gentlemen. So this lady, she was the one, the director of getting paid. You know, you had to pay her, you know. You had to pay when the planes would land, pay me. When the planes would take off, pay me. You know what I'm trying to say? And ladies and gentlemen, like I'm telling you, they are DEA agents, they say, over there in Venezuela, you know, which they flip to that side, to the Maduro and Celia Flores team, you know. They're running all over the place, running all over to the hills, You know, you gotta pay to play, ladies and gentlemen. You must pay to play. It's not for free. Papi, esta gente son el diablo. Satanás. Satanás with horns. You know, Satanás with horns. And ladies and gentlemen, they took her. Cuatro pescosas. She was the first one. Get in the floor. Coño. Le pusieron una AK-47 en la cabeza. You know, AK-47. Get out of here, you know. Unbelievable. I'm getting... Estoy nervioso, Kino. Dame la pastilla. Dame la pastilla. Estoy, you know. And ladies and gentlemen, this gonorrhea of Celia Flores, she was also a lawyer. You understand me? A lawyer. Una abogada, you know. Una abogada. And she was a strong hand communist. Comunista hasta la muerte. Hasta la muerte me voy con el comunismo. You don't know about that kind of stuff. You don't know about that kind of stuff. You know what you know about? You know what you know about. You're talking about, you know, a rotor, a strap, a dial. You know, that's what you're talking about. But I got to teach you the real thing, Bobby. This is why this is the #1 watch market update show in the world, ladies and gentlemen. This is the #1 watch market update show chosen by no other than, you know, Sachs, Goldman, and Fudinki, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I'm telling you, me tengo que tomar la pastilla. Estoy loco, Kino, contrólame. Tócame la cabeza, Kino. Tócame aquí un poquito. Ahí. You know, and I gotta tell you this because you need to know what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. Maduro's wife had more testicles than Maduro, papi. You know, you didn't pay one of her 3 boys. You know, she had 3 boys. They were bad. You know, eran gonorrea. You know, these people were bad. You know, these people had an infection. And they, you know, anybody that didn't pay, you were landing in their airport over there, pay me. You know, you take off, pay me. You know, you want to hide here? Pay me. You understand me? And the people, you see the people over there in Manhattan, in New York City, with big, you know, bandanas saying no war in Venezuela, no war in Venezuela. Do you understand, you know, how close Venezuela's right in the backyard of our country? You know, anybody goes over there, you know, the China people, the Korean, North Korea, you know, Russia, you know, anybody goes there and they throw you a strike in 30 minutes is here, you know, 30 minutos, papa, 30 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, you know, and it's true. We might be thinking that it's all business, you know, that now, you know, Little Lap, you know who Little Lap is, you know, the Pennsylvania guy has a little man in his lap. His name is Marquito Rubio, you know. Unbelievable that Marquito Rubio, what he's done. He's unbelievable. And he wants to control now, you know, the guy from Pennsylvania Avenue, he wants to control the refineries and he wants to be the one putting the numbers on the oil. In other words, it's going to be our oil. You know what I'm saying? If you guys don't know that, you know, it's what it is. But there's too many things going on, and all this country is full of, you know, corrupto malo, corrupted, ladies and gentlemen. Let me ask you guys another question. I'm going to ask you guys another question. What would you say is the most major threat on the world stage? You know, who would you say is the biggest threat, you know, in the world stage? Come on, give it to me. Give it to me. Let's see if you guys know, you know, which are the biggest threat in the world stage. Who are they? Somebody please tell me, you know? You know? Let me salute the owl. I'm saluting the owl. Smart people. There it is. So there it is. We have smart people on this channel. We will say that the world, the most major threat in the world is, you know, North Korea, China, Russia, right? And you probably won't even say never Venezuela, and that's fine. And you probably will never say it's Venezuela, and that's fine. That's beautiful that you won't say Venezuela. You know, you won't say. Which of these places can claim to have the largest oil deposits on the planet? You know, more than Saudi Arabia, more than Iran. Who can have more oil than them? Who can have more oil? Tell me. Venezuela, Venezuela. Whether you see that, this is how you become smart in this channel. Because you would think it's Saudi Arabia, you would think it's Iran. No, 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 papi. Es el maracucho. You know what maracucho is, papi? Maracucho. Papi, I'm spilling my love to you guys, my knowledge to you guys. El maracucho, papá. El maracucho. You know, de Maracaibo, de Caracas. They're the ones with the most oil in the world, in the planet, ladies and gentlemen. You know, and that guy from Pennsylvania Avenue, he wants it too. You know, I'm only telling you what I can understand. You know, you guys help me out if you understand something else, you know. Sí, Kino, coño, claro que sí, Kino, Venezuela, no sea retonto. Venezuela, eso es un grande muchacho, son grandísimos. So, ladies and gentlemen, how about gold? You know, gold, pure gold. Pure gold. You know, gold, papi. 24 karat gold. You know, unbelievable, you know? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have news for you people again. I have more news for you people so you understand what country we're playing around with. I already told you that Venezuela has more oil than Saudi Arabia and Iran. And now I'm going to talk to you about gold. How about gold, ladies and gentlemen? You probably think that the ones that have all the gold in the world are you know, what is the name of that place? I forgot the name of that place. I think it's called, ¿cómo se llama aquello? Los africanos, you know, Africa, you know. Venezuela has more gold combined than all the three major players of Africa in gold. You understand me? Do you understand me? Or you still don't understand me? ¿Tú entendiste? Papi, te estoy diciendo lo que hay. Póngase, you know, your hat, your thinking hat. El pelo, the hair, no es solamente para, la cabeza no es solamente para pelo. The head is not only for hair. The head is for thinking, ladies and gentlemen. You understand me? Again, I told you already two things. Porque ustedes son unos lambones. Son lambones. Ustedes son lambones con diploma. You understand? They have all the gold there combined, ladies and gentlemen. You know, it has more than all the mines. It has more gold than all the mines in Africa combined. Google it. Google it. Let me salute them. The Bilderbergers are watching me. Everything that I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, is allegedly. Allegedly. You know? You understand me? Allegedly. Everything is allegedly. We don't want no TV antenna thunder lightning and, you know, the channel se jodió. You know, we don't want that to happen, you know? We don't want that to happen. So I'm telling you already two things, oil and gold. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, the fact that Venezuela is arguably the single greatest resource of oil and minerals on the planet. No sean gilipollas. On the planet. And ladies and gentlemen, they're 30 minutes away and from our backyard to throw a strike. You know, the strike can be from China. The strike can be from North Korea. The strike can be from, I don't know, you help me out, ladies and gentlemen. You know, Chinese people, Russia people, North Korea, you know, they're all there, ladies and gentlemen. They're all there, papi. Esto es una jodienda. I'm trying to give you a rundown. You know, Christopher, I know you're hearing me. The reason I'm doing this is because people have asked me today, but isn't Venezuela also Mexican? You know, because they think the Venezuelans are Mexican. They think the Puerto Ricans are Mexican. They think the Cubans are Mexican. They think the Panamanians are Mexican. Dominicans are Mexican. You know, it's sad to hear that United States citizens here believe that all Latin people are from Mexico. La cucaracha, ya no puede caminar, porque le falta, porque le falta. You understand me? So I have to come and tell you this, you know? I have to, because they're not going to teach you. They're not going to teach you. And then you have the people over there. You have the people in New York City walking down. You know, it's sad, Papi. It's sad, Alex. It's sad, man. It's sad. But the people over there in New York City, you know, with that guy, Mandami, whatever you call it, you know, that he put his hand in the Quran. He put his hand in the Quran. You know, the Quran, he put it there because, you know, ese tipo está dañado. You know, so the people in New York City are walking the street with sign, no war in Venezuela, free Maduro, free Nicolás Maduro. Papi, what I give you guys for free is unbelievable. You know, what I give you guys for free. Kino, de verdad, coño, Kino. Sí, Kino, yo te lo estoy diciendo. Si yo con esta gente yo los ayudo a ellos. So what I'm trying to tell you is where gold is going. You know, where all those minerals are going, you know, all that stuff, silver, oil. You know how much, ladies and gentlemen, I went to Costco. You know, I put gas in Costco because I'm a penny pincher, you know. Yo no voto el dinero, you know. And I put over there when we go do shopping, you know, me, the wife, and the lady that goes with us, you know, I put gas for $2.29 a gallon. $2.29. Regular. I put regular. You know, on my beat up pickup, I put regular gas for $2.29. If I tell you what they're talking about, the gas is gonna go down to, you're not gonna believe me. You're not gonna believe me. Papi, he's become, let me tell you, that guy in Pennsylvania Avenue, he's become, you know, like Vincent Gigante. You know who Vincent Gigante is? You know, he belongs to the Genovese family over there. It's unbelievable. He has control of everything, you know, everything. He's going to have control of everything. I say the gas. Very good, Alex. You know, that's very close to what I was going to say. I'm thinking the gas is going to go all the way down to $1.25 a gallon. $1.25. We don't know what to do. We have everything now. We can control the whole thing. You know, that guy from Pennsylvania Avenue and his little pet, Marco Rubio, they want to, you know, control the refinery completely. And you know the $50 million, you know, the $50 million reward? You're not going to believe this, ladies and gentlemen, but these American people are unbelievable. This is why they hang out with the, you know, saluting the owl, you know, saluting the owl. You understand me? You know, hanging out with the Bilderbergers, hanging out with J.P. Morgan, you know? You understand what I'm trying to say? These people are unbelievable. You know, State Street, Vanguard, they all hang out together, ladies and gentlemen. You know, they all hang out together and they all, you know, they you know, this is a big thing, you know, and to get invited into that circle, you know, you have to do a lot of sacrifices, you know? But I don't want to get into that right now because you guys are not ready for this, you know? I told you that this guy has been in power for 13 years. 13 years, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to tell you this. He has crippled the national economy by half. The rate is almost 400%. Papi, la gente se están comiendo allá, se están comiendo. Y el corrupto, the corrupted one, is putting so much money, he doesn't know how to put it in no more. So much money, all of them, they all work together, It's a real big gang. And me and you are not that gang, ladies and gentlemen. And there's a rate of 400%. They cripple the economy by half. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, he has raised the poverty rate by almost 400%. Do you guys understand what I'm saying, man? Esta gente no entiende nada esto, Kino. Esta gente son unos huele, no saben nada esto. Well, I'm going to tell you because somebody just said something here, and I must read this. His name is Mike, 30 West Mike. He was offered a deal but said no to Trump. You see, I'm gonna dare myself to go into somewhere that is not cool, but I have to do it. When you're working with Cuba and you're working with other countries, that they're just like them, Nicaragua, Cuba, the communist people, they told them, don't move from there. You're not going to move from there because if you move from there, we'll clip you. You don't move there. You stay there. You're not going to take this man's offer. The guy from Pennsylvania Avenue told him, listen, man, get out of there, leave, take your couple of, whatever, hundreds of millions of dollars and get the frog out of there, But they told them over there, you guys don't know about it. They told them, don't move from there. You move from there, we get Celia Flores. And then we get you. And then we get that one. And then we get this one. And we keep on getting you. You know about that, ladies and gentlemen? I bet you didn't know about that kind of stuff. But that's for another day. That's for another day. But when they tell you there's other people, if you leave, we're going to get you. We're going to get you. We're going to get you. Because you're dealing with those other countries. You can't move from there. You got to take the heat. You got to take the heat. You understand me? If you can't do the time, get out of the kitchen. Esta gente son el diablo, papá. Pero eso es lo que hay. 30 West. You want to hear what I said? There it is, papi. Eso es lo que hay. This is a big circle, man. It's a big circle that ends all back to the same place. Exactly. Many, ladies and gentlemen, this is why I tell you that always in life you're going to have people that are going to defend these countries. They're upside down. And you say the country is upside down. There's 400% of poverty in the country. There's nothing. They're eating rats, cucarachas, ratas. You understand me? But people, they're sitting here in America, American flag, they have interest over there, en el traqueteo. You know what traqueteo is? En el traqueteo. So they're here, living in Key Biscayne, getting a sunbathe and relaxing, but they have interest over there, with Celia Flores, which she reminds me of Griselda Blanco, Griselda Blanco, ladies and gentlemen. It's incredible that I do this for you guys, and I feel happy that I'm able to express at least what I believe. What I believe, maybe you guys don't believe nothing, and everything that I'm saying is allegedly. Allegedly. I want to salute. I want to salute him. I don't want no thunder lightning because I'm dropping too much knowledge for you guys. You know what it is? 22 organic Watch Channel subscribers and a measly 14 thumbs up. That should be 22 all the way, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, you can buy. It's more expensive today, a troy ounce of silver than a barrel of oil, ladies and gentlemen. Look, they're going to have to throw it away. Like those countries, they have so much, they throw it away, because water is more expensive than that. You understand what I'm saying? Esto está jodido, papi. Esto pa grande. Esto pa grande. And what's happening over there now, don't think for a moment. That has to be now watched by the Americans to see who is who. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you something. That the ICA is unbelievable. I'm telling you. To me, the ICA, if I could be something, I would like to be a James Bond. I would like to be a James Bond. No lie, for real. These people were watching, watching this gentleman, this Nicolás Maduro. You're gonna go, wow. These people were watching, the way he walked, the way he moved, what he ate, what he drank, what time he went to bed, what time he woke up. Papi, listen to this. Unbelievable. What kind of music he heard. Music, what does the ICA have to do with music? Listen to this one, ladies and gentlemen. What kind of, mascota, what kind of dog he has, what kind of dog, and what kind of dog is he, a lassie, a pit bull, it's unbelievable. These people they had him to the T, papi. They had him to the T. Oye, the ICA es una jodienda. The name of the pets. You know what it is to know the name of the pets? You guys know more than me. I like that because Thurston Howard was listening to me, and you know what he's saying? Man, goddamn, that one, he's sharp. So you know what it is, ladies and gentlemen. If he likes cats, if he likes to pick his nose, you understand me, Papi? They knew everything about him. They knew everything. They knew what medicine he was drinking. What time he drank it, what time this, what time that, what time he went to the bathroom. We all have a time in the day, a time in the night that we go to the bathroom. Us men, they knew all that, Papi. Papi, they had this mother frogger. They had him, Papi. Papi, lo tenía, mira. And then the guys over there sitting down, ding, 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 everything. You guys know, ladies, they know everything about us, Papi. They know everything. They say, we want to know what Kino likes, and Kino likes Glenn Levitt. Glenn Levitt? He likes Glenn Levitt. No te pongas bravo, Kino. Le estoy diciendo que a ti lo que te gusta, el scotch, el whisky, es Glenn Levitt. No te pongas bravo. They know what Kino likes. They know what kind of girls Kino likes. Kino likes girls from those go-go dance. The girls that dance in the poles? You know what I'm saying? And you put a couple of dollars on them. This is what Kino likes. Yo no dije nada malo, Kino. Yo dije que a ti te gusta salir a bailar y eso. I'm telling you what it is, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to give you all this information so you understand what's happening, so you don't make the mistake of thinking that all Latin people are Mexican. We're not all Mexican, Papi. We're not We might look to you like we're Mexican, but we're not Mexican, ¿Tú entiendes? Kino es una jodienda, Papi. Kino está en los putival. ¿Tú sabes lo que es un putival? ¿Tú sabes lo que es un putival? Do you guys know what a putival is? If you don't know, you Google it. Kino está de puta madre. Ese Kino se la sabe toda. If you ever come to Miami and you need to go to one of those strip joints, you let me know. I'll send Kino. He knows them all. He knows Tootsies, Booty. ¿Cómo se llama eso? Booty Trap. He knows them all. Solid Gold. He knows all that. I'm telling you, when you come down here, you want to go to one of those places, Kino takes you there. They know everything, Papi. They know everything about us. They know everything. And ladies and gentlemen, he even had one of those doors. I think it's called one of those doors when they're trying to get you and you go into that door and then you escape and you go down like through a water slide, him and his wife. But Papi, those people were watching him already, Papi. Those guys were watching them with those, how do you call those helicopters? They're not, they have like four propellers. You know what I'm talking about? The safe room. Una jodienda, Papi, and it's increíble what's going on. But I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I gave you a rundown of the situation in that country. Papi, I don't know if you know 400%, of the poverty in that country. And all these people are getting whacked. Anybody that, disagree, what they're doing, you whack them, you whack them. They have Americans, which it's a trouble situation going on with the Americans because they have a couple of Americans, they're in jail over there, and they're asking now why didn't they get the American people they were in jail, Papi, I'm telling you, if you want to see the movie Griselda Blanco, so you can see who this lady was, she was vicious. But I'm going to tell you, this lady, Celia Flores, was I believe, even more vicious, She was also a murderer. She was also a narco traficante, And I'm telling you, Papi, these people, she was a strong communist. No socialist. Rojo hasta la muerte. Red unto death. Rojo hasta la muerte, papá. Esto es lo que hay. Kino, no te metas. Aquí no hay nada, Kino. Aquí no hay nada, Kino. No te metas en eso. You need a little bit of jungle juice for me, I need a little bit of jungle juice, Ladies and gentlemen, January the 3rd, 1990, they got a gentleman from Panama, Manuel Noriega, And the same thing, the same operation. They got him, a patar por la nalga, and they took him out January the 3rd. And also the guy from Pennsylvania Avenue, he did it on January the 3rd, 2026. He got this guy. I'm telling you, I don't know too much about politics, but coño, that guy from Pennsylvania Avenue, he's doing something good. But I want to keep on telling you, ladies and gentlemen, you have a lot of people out there which are still, basically are blind to understand who we have in our backyard. And we have them 30 minutes from here. Throw any warhead to us, bang, y más nada, Tú sabes, there is exactly, Alex, exactly. Una cosa que está fuerte, fuerte, fuerte. I also want to take the time, to all my brothers, my brothers and sisters in Venezuela who've been crying for the last, 24 hours of happiness. Venezuela está libre, Venezuela está libre. Solo felicito a todos ustedes, mis hermanos de Venezuela, and I really mean that. I don't want to get choked up, but power to Venezuela. I gave you something so you can, sit down and analyze now and understand that Venezuela is not from Mexico, and that Nicolás Maduro's wife was also a confidant of the defunto, of the president that passed away, Hugo Chavez. And she was the mastermind to tell Hugo Chavez in his dying bed, in his deathbed, you should put on my husband, that I'm like, I don't know, I think she's 10 years older than him, 10 años. Es una bandida, and she is where she's supposed to be, locked up already, right, guys? I hope that clears a lot of the situation of Venezuela, so you understand what's going on. And I'm telling you, China, this China, Russia, North Korea, they can put, a little warhead right there, and they were gonna welcome it. Put it there, put a little bomb there, just in case the people in Washington get kind of crazy, le tiramos candela. Did I explain myself pretty well, or it was pretty bad? I don't care if it was bad or not, but you understood something of what I said? You guys understand something? You guys understand something? So this country's in the midst of one of the greatest human, crisis in modern history. Tú sabes, eso es lo que hay, papá. I'm going to give you guys a watch market update so you guys can continue to skip hopping around through life. I try to save you people from giving your money away to these flim-flammers, which are doing really, really bad. They're doing really, really bad. There's this guy that he has a soft olive oil voice. And ladies and gentlemen, it's sad when I tell you this. I think is Andrew something, If somebody puts the name up there, I'll tell you who it is. I say, that's the guy, I forgot his, I know it's Andrew. Anyway, that's the one, Mr. Donor, right there. You put the names together now. And, I saw something. That's the one, Papa. That's the one. And it's sad because, these people, basically, all the views of all these people have dropped faster than Bill Clinton's pants in an Arkansas farmhouse. Even the ones that have 1 million subscribers, who you fooling? Who you fooling? Watch market is dead. The watch market is dead. So this guy, that guy Andrew, you're not gonna believe this, ladies and gentlemen. And some people sent me texts regarding that, and they were telling me you were right. This was gonna happen, Bobby. They're all turning into, they don't even want to ask no more for this. They want to ask now for memberships, memberships, because the money that they were making, it ain't coming no more. It ain't coming no more because the watch market is dead. You fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Sorry. And this is what's going on. It's everywhere. No. But let me tell you something. I have to come clear. It's every single. I told you the other day. The guy over there, the guy, the fake Italian flat top monkey eyebrows from over there asking for $20, $20, no coma mierda, and then this guy, which is a big shot, which is a big shot, he's a big shot, the guy, Andrew, you're not going to believe this. This guy was doing an unbelievable show with beautiful audience. You're not going to believe this, but he is also asking for those 400,000 people that he has for membership too, porque ya no hay más dinero, papi. Se terminó el vacilón. El vacilón se terminó. I'm telling you this so you understand, because you might be thinking, why is Juan telling us? Does he want us to give him a membership? Man, you do whatever you want. I'm telling you this so you understand that the watch market is dead in a backyard pool and floating face down like this. He's dead. You understand me? He's dead. That's why I'm telling you this. So you understand what's going on. No sean mashuganas. Tienen que ser inteligentes, muchacho. I mean, this is the only channel that's going to say, in a septic tank. I'm going to tell you the truth always, papi. I'm going to tell you the truth. Me too, papi. I love you too, Alex. Tú eres uno de los míos, papi. Tú eres uno de los míos. But anyway, I just, I feel a little bit discouraged, from you people that don't, you don't want to, coño. No te metas aquí, no. No te metes, tú no para ti aquí, no. Ladies and gentlemen, our first watch market update of the evening. For all of you that are waiting for the watch market. I'm going to tell you, this is a Rolex White Gold Submariner. Rolex White Gold Submariner with a blue dial, blue ceramic bezel. They call this the Smurf. 116619 LB, 40 millimeter, the Smurf. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a watch that's like, $37,000. The retail price, and it's discontinued. It's a collector's grade, collector's choice. You know what I'm trying to say? Collector's unit. Those words that they use on you. These people, these watch market, Muppet Boiler Room, secondary, gray watch market channels and dealers, they use subliminal messages just like the ICA uses. Subliminal messages to get you, Collector's choice, collector's grade, that BS. And I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you do whatever you want. But don't pay for that Smurf more than $32,000 and dropping faster than Bill Clinton's pants in an Arkansas farmhouse, all right? There it is, $32,000, Mr. Donut, there it is right there. Don't pay more than 32. Don't pay. And if you wanna be even more meaner, you show him 30,500, 30,500, I know what I'm telling you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have another watch here, which is the Omega Speedmaster with a meteorite dial. Reference number 304-3043-5206-001. This reference number is longer than an Amtrak station, It's really long, ladies and gentlemen. 43 millimeter. And ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this. This has a retail price of $19,300. Does anybody know what that Omega stainless steel with a meteorite dial, you guys should pay? Does anybody know? Nobody knows, right? Let's do it quick already so you guys can, go on with your evening. Don't pay for that watch more than $12,900. And dead. You do whatever you want, Papi. You do whatever you want. Ladies and gentlemen, this is for a gentleman that he sent me an email that he was looking at this watch from one of those famous, dealers over there from the Lone Star State. And this watch is a Rolex Daytona Big Red, vintage, a masterpiece, unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. Rolex Daytona stainless steel Big Red, from the year 1977, 76, 77, 78, that year, those years, And And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know the reference number, it's the 6263, and it has punch hole papers, And this gentleman is looking at it, and ladies and gentlemen, they're asking him $135,000 for that watch. This is good for all of you. This is good. This is good for all of you. So you understand where we're at with these watches. Yes, it's a big red, beautiful watch, beautiful, beautiful looking time machine, black dial, white gauges, una jodienda. It's a 37 millimeter, very, very small watch, the 37. Oh, not small. I used to wear a 36 millimeter date, and I was happy with it. It's a 37, beautiful watch. And ladies and gentlemen, does anybody know what that watch costs, ladies and gentlemen? Because they're asking 135. And I'm going to give him a number now. Do you know what the number is that I'm going to give him? Beautiful, 110. Anybody? One more, 110. 110. Anybody else? Is Mr. Dono the only person going to say that? Nobody knows? Que no saben de reloj, muchacho, está muerto. You got to be very, very careful. Okay, 6,500 new. Okay, yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and to that gentleman that wants to buy this watch, this is my advice to you. Do not pay the 135 they're asking you over there in the Lone Star State. Do not. If you are going to buy the watch because you really want that watch, don't pay more. And I mean, don't pay more than $107,000 in dropping. Okay? There it is, sir. There it is. Thank you very much for the kind words that you sent me today and that email. That was very, very nice of you. Happy New Year to you as well and to your charming family. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to talk to you about a Rolex GMT yellow gold black dial. Discontinue from 2012. 2012. A GMT. The only thing that this watch has green is the green arrow hand GMT. Has a green hand, black dial, yellow gold. Unbelievable. You do whatever you want. It's discontinued as well. Discontinue, reference number 116718. Okay? 718. Don't pay for that watch. Does anybody know who somebody put there? Buy gold instead. Buy gold instead. Don't pay for that watch. You do whatever you want. The watch market is dead. It's going to be sad. Starting tomorrow, papi. Bien jodido, Mr. Donut 34. One more. 33. Doc, anybody? One more? Here it goes. Don't pay for that watch more. And I mean, don't pay for that watch more than $30,500 and dapping, okay? Dapping again, okay? Dapping. Me jodí el brazo. Good job, all of you. All of you know what's going on. All of you. Para todos ustedes. Ladies and gentlemen, don't let this scare you now. This is a Rolex two-tone, yellow gold stainless steel with an oyster bracelet, 42 millimeter. Champagne dial sky dweller with an oyster bracelet. Reference number 326933. Unbelievable. Retail price is $21,850. The two-tone, two-tone. I mean, whatever you want to do, whatever you like. You like two-tone, you get two-tone. But I'm going to give you the price of this watch. This yellow gold stainless steel. Unbelievable watch, lady. Unbelievable. Who is this? This is nice. Mr. Premium. Wow, saying 16. Wow, Mr. Donut's going crazy. 15.5. But you guys are looking good. You guys are looking real good. You guys know what's going on. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, that watch, I had this watch because I had to get it from my AD so they can give me this watch that I wanted. I got it, And as soon as I got it, I let it go. Coño. Who is this here? Ed Vargas. We leave it with Ed Vargas. Ding, 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 ding. Sí, Ed Vargas, yo no sé, nuevo. Dijo $14,500. He said $14,500, Mr. Ed Vargas, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Ed Vargas es una jodienda, ladies and gentlemen. I'm in total disbelief and total shock, ladies and gentlemen, because he said $14,500. He was even lower than me, don't pay for that watch more. And I mean, don't pay more. And I mean, don't pay more. The watch market is dead in a backyard pool and floating face down like this. Don't pay more than $14,700 and tapping. Kino, jálame para atrás. Jálame para atrás, Kino. Jálame. Kino, jálame. Kino, jálame. Tap. 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 Tapping again. Esto se jodió. Suéltame, Kino, que se me jode el brazo. Suéltame. Suéltame, suéltame. Dame la pastilla. Suéltame. Kino's going crazy, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you. Kino's going crazy. Hasta allá, brother. No jodas más. Ladies and gentlemen, to you people that like Richard Mille watches. Richard Mille watches. This is the Richard Mille RM029 Rose Gold. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. This is an unbelievable watch, you know. This is with a skeletonized dial. You can see everything in this watch. Rose gold, you know, the moose, ladies and gentlemen, the moose. Unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna go to work tomorrow. Atomic, you know. I'm gonna go to work, you know, tomorrow happy, you know. Everything is over. The rush is over. No more stores, you know. Unbelievable. And I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, don't pay for this beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. You know, don't pay for this watch. This is unbelievable. You know, this is from 2014. Sir, don't pay. Don't listen to what those Michiganers are telling you. Don't listen to those Michiganers, Papi. Don't listen to them. But don't pay for that watch, for that beautiful rose gold, Richard Mille. Don't pay more than $136,000 and dropping faster than Billy Boy's pants in an Arkansas farmhouse. You guys got to stop being crumb bums and sandbags. You got to stop it already, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot continue maintaining these people's lifestyle. I'm already telling you they don't know what to do, ladies and gentlemen. Watch market is dead. The watch market is dead. No matter what they keep on putting out there, so you guys believe that the watch market is up and running, it's a facade, man. It's an illusion. It's a facade. No sean pendejo. No sean pendejo. I know what I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen. Don't pay more than that what I told you for that Richard Mille, ladies and gentlemen. Our next watch is a Cartier. Another gentleman, listen to this. Our Cartier Calibre. You know, Cartier del Calibre. Rose Gold. Reference 3300 /1, W7100018, 42 millimeter. I'm telling you, when you hear this, you're going to go, coño, es tan loco. Do you know what the retail price of that Cartier, you know, is? Does anybody know what the retail price of that watch is? I'm going to tell you right now. $48,500. $48,500. Cartier, Calibre de Cartier, Cartier de Calibre, Rose Gold. Unbelievable. Heavy watch. If I tell you this, you're going to go, you know, you're going to go, wow. What you're paying there for this watch, you're paying for gold. You're paying for gold. $24,000 and dropping. Okay, Mr. Premium, 24 and dropping. Anybody? Frog that, right? I'm telling you, when you hear the price, you're going to go, coño. Papa, you're going to hear the truth in this channel. Nothing but the truth. So help me God. You're going to hear the truth here. But let me take a sip. Ed Vargas. Papa, Ed Vargas knows something that we don't know. Do you guys know Ed Vargas? He's new to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Vargas. He's unbelievable, that Ed Vargas. He's unbelievable. Look at the number he put down. Look at the number that Ed Vargas put down. 48,000. $48,500. Mr. Donor, look at the number that Mr. Vargas, Ed Vargas put down. Ay, papi. Yo no sé where Ed Vargas came from. I don't know where he came from. You know, Ed Vargas dio 21,700 pesos. El hombre sabe, tiene un contacto. Tiene un contacto. You know? You know? I don't know. It might be Kino's cousin. I'm telling you. But listen to this. He said that number. He said that number, and he is in the right direction. You know, the right direction. I'm telling you. Saludo, Mr. Vargas. De Puerto Rico, coño, qué bonito, papá. Un abrazo, un cariño. Mañana son los, no, el martes son los Reyes Magos. The Three Kings, you know. Octavita, pasteles y gandules y chuleta, un poquito de pitufo. Ladies and gentlemen, don't pay for that watch. Don't get scared, ladies and gentlemen. Ready for this? The Cartier, Calibre de Cartier. Yellow rose gold. You know, yellow gold, rose gold. Don't pay for that watch, Mr. Vargas. Don't pay for it. I'm crazy, papi, but I tell you the truth. Gracias, papi. Gracias, manito. Gracias, papá. Dios me lo bendiga siempre. Don't pay for that watch. Here it goes. Está perdido. Don't pay for that watch. More than $19,800 and done. Me jodí el brazo. Yo, stop me again. Okay, there it is. Now you know what it costs, the Cartier. What you're buying is scrap gold, papi. Scrap gold. Eso es un muerto parado. Eso es un muerto. Eso es un muerto parado, papi. You don't know about that kind of stuff. Eso es un muerto parado. Eso es un muerto parado. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you something else that you need to know about. This is a Rolex. White gold GMT. Rolex white gold GMT. Pepsi. You know, with the blue and red ceramic. Unbelievable watch. But ladies and gentlemen, that watch, if you get it like that with a blue dial, you know, a black dial, $26,000. With a blue one, $31,32. But this one has what you like, the meteorite dial, you know? The meteorite dial, you know, 40 millimeter. Ladies and gentlemen, that watch is dead in water. You can fool some people sometimes, but you cannot fool the people all the time with that meteorite dial, papi. Meteorite dial equals this, deep. You know, deep. Don't pay for that watch. You ready, ladies and gentlemen? And I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the retail price of that watch, of the meteorite dial. Coño, Doc, you're there. You're doing good, Doc. Doc Maker, Florida. I'm going to tell you the truth. 30 West Mike, I'm going to tell you the truth. You do whatever you want. But ladies and gentlemen, you cannot fool the people no more. You can't fool them. You cannot fool them. I'm telling you, reference number 126719BLRN. Excuse me. And I'm going to tell you because I'm nice like that. Yes, it will be at $100. I'm with you, Thurston Howard III. Don't pay for that watch for the meteorite dial, GMT, Pepsi, white gold. Don't pay more than $47,500 in. And I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, next month, I'm just giving you a head start. It's going to be palito. You know what palito means? It's going to be exactly the same that it costs in retail. You know, right there. You know, it's there. Más nada. Retail y más nada. Under retail. That watch, if you want to know the retail of that watch today is, I don't know, I think it's like $52,000. $52,000, papi. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I don't know what the people from over there from yes, retail. You look for it. I gave you guys the retail in one of my live streams. I gave you all the prices. You know, 8%. The 8% on precious metal materials, white gold, yellow gold, you know, that kind of stuff. I gave you that. I'm letting you know, papi. La situación está mala. I don't know what Rolex is thinking, but you go to any AD, I'm telling you, you get a Submariner, you get a Datejust, you get a Sea Dweller, you get all these, you know. What you don't get is the Daytona. You don't get what you don't get is what you guys want, you know, ombre green dial, crayon green dial, you know, but the rest you're getting it. If I told you how much the GMT Sprite, white gold, green dial, green ceramic, black ceramic, you know, if I told you how much that watch costs, you're gonna say you're crazy. Don't pay for that watch more than $43,000. Retail price of that watch is $48,400 when it first came out. That watch is over $54,000. Dead. It's dead. You guys don't want to hear none of this stuff. You guys want to keep on giving your money away. Give it away, give it away, give it away like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You know, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. They're not like us. They're not like us. all the way up, all the way up. Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to the ending of this show, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to give you something, again, a Richard Mille. No se asusten, papi, no se asusten. It's for free. It's for free. Richard Mille, RM11FM, Asia Boutique Edition, limited to 50 pieces. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys were aware of this watch, you know I told you, don't pay. Listen to this. I told you don't pay more than 220. Then I told you don't pay more than 212. Then I told you don't pay more than 204. 204. Then I told you don't pay more than 198,000. And ladies and gentlemen, because I'm like that, I'm stupid like that. You know, it's how I am. Don't pay for that watch more. Sorry, sir. Oh, you know, it's all black, you know, black rubber, black casing, and the pushers. The pushers, coño, who's this Mr. Premium again? Coño, no joda. Mr. Premium, no me joda. It has rose gold pushers. Limited to 50 pieces, papi. This was a $500,000 time machine sold. You know, sold by the guy from over there. You know, the Iron Sheik, you know, Tunic Man. You know, the Iron Sheik over there from Dubai. He's like around 5 feet, 4 inches, you know. He has it there. He's praying to Allah. He's praying to Allah for another Corona beer era. You know what Corona beer is? He's praying to Allah for another Corona beer. Papi, I give it to you the way it is. Kino, no mandaba ni una peseta, Kino. Ni una peseta. Yo te voy a dar 20 pesos ahorita, estate quieto. Yo te lo doy. Yo te lo doy. No te metas en esto, brother. No te metas. No te metas. Esta gente tú lo miras al revés, lo que botan son 4 botones y un condón. Ladies and gentlemen, don't pay for that Richard Mille. Richard Mille, FM Asia Boutique Edition, limited to 50 pieces, ladies and gentlemen. Don't pay for that watch. Somebody put there 180. Yeah, I saw it. Don't pay for that watch more than $186,000. From 220 to 186. Papi, ya, eso está muerto ya. Eso está muerto. Eso está muerto. And ladies and gentlemen, this is our last watch market update of the evening. You know, the first, you know, I think this is the first, going on the first couple of days of the new year, of January. I'm going to talk to you about this watch that I'm going to give you. Not many people, I'm sure not many people are interested in this watch, but somebody sent me, they want to know because they're selling him this watch for $295,000. They're quoting him $295,000. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a Patek Philippe stainless steel 5711 green dial, bubble wrap, you know, everything, you know, the green. This is the retail price of this watch. When it was first discontinued, it was at $34,000, $34,700. That's the retail price of this watch. And they didn't make it with a blue dial, this 5711 stainless steel Nautilus. They made it with a green. You know, green is dead, papi. You know, green is dead, you know? Green is, you know? But ladies and gentlemen, for this gentleman that wants to know the price of this watch, that he's getting one offer for $295, you'll be a big sandbag if you pay for that watch more than $247,000. And it's dropping faster than Bill Clinton's pants. Right, guys? Guys, I really hope you enjoy this watch market update. Thank you for joining me on this Sunday evening. Again, we try our best to bring you nothing but the best to you guys. We try to bring you just real stuff, make it a little bit funny for you, make it a little bit humorous. But everything that I did try to tell you guys was just the truth, ladies and gentlemen. Again, from the bottom of my heart, I want to wish all of you again one more time, Happy New Year to all of you. I hope tomorrow when you go back to work, you're all happy, you're all dandy, you know, and all that good stuff, right, guys? On behalf of Sweet Kick Kino and me, we want to wish you again a good night, all right? Take care and brush your hair. Peace to all of you. Bye-bye.